This is the process of my painting Kimjang. Um, this is based on the story of the late Junko Furuta, who was tortured, raped, and murdered over a period of 44 days. She was 16 to 17 years old. Um, this was in Japan. It was a bunch of teenage boys as well as some Yakuza members. Weights were thrown on top of her hands and feet. She was beaten. She was raped many, many times by many, many different men. She was constantly humiliated, and when these men lost their stamina to continue, she would be forced to dance for them naked in provocative ways. Bottles would be placed inside of her, and she would be beaten until the bottles broke inside of her. She was beaten and tortured to the point of incontinence, and once she reached that point, the boys would beat her for urinating on herself, which she could not control. She was dehydrated and starved. This was taking place in a teenage boy's home. The parents did know. Supposedly, the mother did try to help her escape once, but it was unsuccessful. She was also lit on fire, and that is how she eventually was murdered. If you don't know me, I am an art hoe, and I'm a witch, and I make spells for women who have lost their voice or their power and put them in a position where they are in power. If you know anything about the history of Korea, you would know about Japanese colonialism in Korea. And this painting is also about that, and is also about how the Japanese forced Korean women to be comfort women, quote unquote comfort women, aka force them into sex slavery. And obviously, I did not do this to disparage Junko Furuta's name. It's to me about solidarity and the strength and resilience of women. What came to my mind with this painting, first of all, this picture of her was based on one of the crime scene photos. And I had a lot of mixed emotions about doing that, but it didn't feel right to not show her in that light. It would, to me, not doing that would be like not expressing what they did to her, because please don't look up those pictures. Please don't go looking out for them. I didn't, but I'll just say they're very readily available. And to me, it was like Emmett Till's mother saying that she wanted an open casket to show what they did to her son. The first iteration of this painting in my mind was like a Korean woman who put like a man in some kimchi. It became, oh, the Korean woman that's putting the man in the kimchi is a comfort woman, and the man that she's putting in the kimchi that she murdered is Japanese, like a Japanese soldier. At that point, that became Junko Furuta, because I finally heard about her case. The thing that really, really broke me about Junko's case is that when she was found, she was pregnant. So through all of the trauma that her body endured, she she was harboring life. I mean, she was supporting life, right? And very sadly, that's probably not the first time that she supported life during that time, if you get my meaning. And if you look at the woman's shoulder, it's like she's holding a little lamb. And if you look, there's like a little child under like a Korean quilt. So it's like, what if the men that killed Junko, also killed her baby? The face that I painted is a lot of different women. Like I said, it's her crime scene photo, and it ended up looking like my mother, who's a Korean woman. And I think I also based it on, what's her name? Kim Ho Jung, the North Korean girl in Squid Games. Ho Yeonjang. So, her baby was killed, and I'm sorry, I'm not very good like verbally at talking, and her like loss of her child drove her mad, and she's now holding this little lamb on her shoulder. It's the first iteration of her face, and I kind of wish that I didn't touch it. It's just something that I need to learn about, like my perfectionism and everything. But I intentionally made her look emaciated, bruised, and like she was brought back to life. Like, in this alternative reality, Junko was given a second chance. And of course, it wouldn't be a happy one. It would be one, like the last 44 days of her life, it would be full of suffering. But this alternate reality where the gods give her a second chance for justice. The decaying face that she's holding, that is the face of one of the real men that killed her, that is still alive today and is free, because they are all free. They're all free. His name is Joe Kamisaku. And I wanted to intentionally make his face decaying and less dignity than Junko, because Junko was not given any dignity in the last 44 days of her life or in her death. I'm very openly a survivor of rape, and I am so openly a survivor of rape nowadays, not back then, because I figured that there is nothing that I need to have shame for, and I wanted to give all the shame to them and none for myself. So the other man in the kimchi pot, that is one of my real life rapists. When I think of Junko Furuta, like, it made me really sad because I was never able to figure out what her favorite color is. But when I think of her, I think of yellow. Everyone said that she was extremely bright, and just kind. And if you would look, there's like the top of a humboldt, and it's supposed to be like she really cherished her daughter, and she cherished all the clothes that she made for her. And she's covered in this nice quilt. And also, I guess the young child became this sort of symbol to me of her innocence. And I hate when people call like rape as like losing, as someone's taking someone's innocence. But she was a child. She was 16 to 17 years old. There was multiple times where she like could have come home. And even if she could have come home, I just feel like there would be some kind of light that would have been taken from her and lost from her eye. Oh, and perfect timing. The background, this was, I actually started it, doing the swirly swirly thing because of this artist. Let me hold up and find their name. Their name is Tails Jekyll. Look them up. But I started painting when this guy was being creepy to me at the gym. And so I just took it out on the painting. And I'm finding, I feel like I need to say this in a way that, like, is eloquent, but just the kind of rage where, that a woman can't replicate, of like, this is so wrong and there is nothing that I could have done. That kind of anger, and that was the kind of anger that I was trying to communicate in the background and trying to communicate it for Junko. And, sadness and just, I don't know, everything. Like, I just feel corny putting, because, like, if I wanted to be like, write things, then I would have been a writer. I'm not. Like, I paint and I do visual stuff. But yeah, I don't have anything moving or eloquent to say about a 16 to 17-year-old girl who lost her life when she was bright and she was incredibly, incredibly smart, like, got really, really high grades, was popular, had everything going for her, and it was just stolen. And there's nothing that could make that better. There's nothing that could make that okay. There's nothing to do with it now. And so I wanted to create a reality where Junko had power and Junko had a voice over that situation, and hopefully in another universe she did. Because just when researching the story and, like, starting to paint this, sometimes I could just hear her scream, and it's a familiar scream to me, of just, if you went out to the woods and you shouted the kind of primitive scream that I've been hearing, then, like, even animals would know what's going on. One of my favorite books of all time is Pachinko. And my favorite line from the book it goes something like this. Mind you, I'm not a native Korean speaker, but it's on the kimchi pot of my painting. It says, Ko tong suram ke 사시는 게 명, 여자위 운명인갑니다. Translated, a woman's lot is to suffer. The way that I empathize with people is when they say, I went through XYZ, I will say, I understand what you're going through. I went through XYZ. And that's kind of my way of trying to create solidarity between Asian women, and, that we're just strong and that we survive. I'm a survivor, I'm a believer. It's that motherfucker's face, yeah. Because a lot of Korean women, and there's other women, there's Filipino women, Chinese women, Vietnamese women, that were forced into sexual slavery by the Japanese Imperial Army, and they were all forced to get abortions. I'm not saying that if you're, a trans woman, or you just biologically can't produce women, that you're less of a woman, but such a big part of womanhood is creating, like the Empress card, like creating life. And even that choice and power was taken from us. Even in that moment, Junko's, like, literal ability to sustain that life was taken from her, and I'm sure she had, like, miscarriages during those 44 days, and her choice to make life was taken from her. Her choice to sustain life was taken from her. and her life was taken from her. Her choice to live was taken from her. I am hoping that y'all are getting what I'm putting down, because I'm just yapping at this point. And also, it's like she saw her dead daughter and she took her eyes out. She I literally had to tape this up because I kept going over stuff. She took her heart out because it just hurt too much when she awoke to know what she had been through. Putting a timeline on this, but there's, keep your eyes open for a long, long time in the future, for a different project based on this. Thank you so much if you watched this whole 16-minute video. Let me know if y'all would be interested in prints. I'm trying to get prints of my Medusa painting. That's in like my first video. Oh, look at me, this is when I finished. So exciting. Rest in peace, rest in power, Junko Furuta, and thank you for watching.
She's perfect.